My name is Leslie Ann Wilson. I'm Nakota Cree from White Bear First Nation, living in Saskatoon for the past 2 years. At first I was a keeper, and then after about 2 weeks I was given tobacco to be a grandmother. My role as a grandmother, the way I seen it, was to always be there and support, be available to answer questions, and sometimes make decisions on those questions, like protocol. Make sure things were being done in a good way, and that we weren't offending anybody by the way we did things. And my advice to any other grandmothers anywhere would be to listen very carefully. Listen to what is being said. And sometimes you don't have to answer right away. Take your time to answer and use your heart. Don't hold back. If something tells you this is wrong, tell people how you feel. Or else try to always come up with a positive solution. Don't just say, oh, throw your hands in the air and that's it, I'm done. Because there's going to be times when people are going to be emotional. Everything's not always perfect. People don't always agree. And take that time for yourself and try to tell the other people you work with just to take some time for themselves. They need that time. But most of all, just try to uphold your truth. As being a grandmother, I did a lot of reflection and being quiet and still and praying for others. A lot of times I just sat there and prayed because I knew there was a lot of emotion in the air. I was very emotionally charged sometimes. And to always be kind and loving to people, especially people that are grieving, to always take that time just to give them that hug or that comfort, sit beside them. Just the biggest thing I think is to be kind in your heart and treat people the way you'd like yourself, not only yourself, but somebody. The way I look at it is treat somebody how you'd like your children to be treated. And if you think of it that way, then you kind of can, it takes you out of the formula. That's something. Well, the planning stage, the early planning stage was just like, okay, let's do this. We were all gung-ho. I gotta say that it was, we didn't realize what was coming though. I think nobody really does when you take on a responsibility like the vamps. And then as the vamps were coming closer and closer, we knew that day was coming. I know I started getting a little bit nervous and a little bit apprehensive sometimes. But I would not give up because one of the teachings my grandfather told us, my grandmother, when you're given tobacco, stay for this ceremony. And if you take that tobacco, don't leave till you're done. And so I took that seriously, because there was some days when I seriously wanted to go away, far, far away, because it's a lot of emotion coming, a lot of stuff that you didn't expect. But it was all, now when I look back, it was all good. But in the moment when you're in the midst of it, it's kind of a scary feeling, being vulnerable and being open to letting people see. You know, your tears, there'll be days when you'll cry. There'll be days when other people are crying. And so that's something that, you know, you're not used to most of the time. So when they finally got here, the vamps, it was really in boxes. They came in boxes and we sang for them and brought the boxes in. And even then, because they were in boxes, it was really not much. I don't know, like being in boxes is like you're packing, you're moving, and you don't know what's in there. But then when they finally did come to the day of to bring them in, the boxes were brought into Wanaskewin. That's when they sang the memorial songs and ceremony songs, and we had a pipe ceremony, and that was the day that it was real, and you could feel all those sisters were there. So I think that the ceremony brought it alive, and the fire was lit. To me, that was very special and sacred. And I think that fire really helped us because, to me, it took away, like it cleaned up lots of that negative stuff that was sort of flying around. That fire cleaned it up and took care of it. And when we lit that fire that day, I knew that it was going to take care of us. So I was really happy that we had that fire. And because of where we're from here in Saskatchewan, some of our ceremonial objects were kept out in the teepee. And so that helped too, having that connection to the sky and the earth outside, and the vamps were over here, so that helped a lot. And throughout the days when the vamps were there and people were coming to see the vamps, being a grandmother there was hard some days because there was people very emotional, especially the little kids. They really made me, I had to like stay strong for them, but I would cry. And I told them every morning when I come in here, I said I cry. Like, it just did that to me. I'd walk in, like the first thing I do is I'd walk in there, smudge, and then I'd choke up because I could feel those tears wanting to come. And every time I made a circle around those vamps, I'd cry. Just thinking, of those sisters and their families. And so I told the kids it was okay to have those feelings as long as we took care of each other. And so I depended on some of the things that I was taught throughout my life, how to handle grief, and practice it with the families that came. And at nighttime when you left from there, or it didn't even have to be nighttime, just a few hours, you felt really tired. Like, I always felt really tired, but at the same time, in a good way. There was like a lot of sadness and a lot of grief, but at the same time, there was always a good feeling there. Like, I would go there and I knew everybody else could feel it. Whoever was involved, we all had that connection. So, and the last day was hard. That was the hardest day for me. I couldn't, it was hard to let them go. And it was also hard to find words to say everything that happened and how you felt. And so I broke down and I cried that day really hard. And then after that we went out to the fire, and again that fire comforted me. I don't know, it must have did that for others, but it really comforted me. And then for deinstallation, I didn't go because I had to work, but I was keeping in contact through Facebook, and I knew people were having a difficult time with that, taking it apart and putting things away and cleaning stuff up. And I really appreciated the women that came to help from Edmonton. They were so comfortable with the whole process that it made everybody else feel okay. We're okay. So I think it was just not only the vamps and knowing what we were there for a memorial. I think it was the friendship or the bonds that were made between everybody who was there. Like now I can look at, it feels like I can look at anybody who came to Walking with our sisters and look right into their eyes and we understand something. Mm-hmm. It's really good. And so now they are taking out of Wanuskewin and being kept until they make their journey north. So we're almost done our part of it, and it's it's kind of a bittersweet because you're letting something go, and it's kind of a bittersweet feeling. And the other thing I find too is it sure taught me a lot about myself and about human beings. And now I know when I look into somebody's eyes, there's a difference. There's a real big difference. So I just wanted to mention that. And for these moccasins, as they travel, these vamps, as they travel, I always said, well, I hope they don't, I don't think it was the plan to collect so many. That's happening because of what's happening in the world. And so I always say to myself, well, maybe we need to be, going the other way, like not collecting so many. But it seems like that's going to happen until whatever it is we need to do as a people happens. And so I just say my prayers still for all those ladies, young women, older women, children, and boys, and men that have gone missing. And I think Saskatchewan was the first place that actually brought the men and women together, united, and so each had a role, and I think that was a really good move on our part. It opened up everybody's eyes a little bit more, and I really hope, when I say hope, I pray that this will take us to a good place and that the sisters watching over everything, they know, we need to listen to the spirit world. The spirit world will guide us. That's what I think. That's probably what I'm going to say for now. Is just, it's kind of a bittersweet, like you're really happy to be done because it was very tiresome, but at the same time you're sad to let it go, and you're sort of scared to, like, I don't know. I know the people will always be there, and the purpose, so, and I wish that, the only thing that I wish is that we could have reached more people with that message.